Ami,
Yes.
I see a monkey.
Oh, really?
There? What do monkey mean? This is Ami's deck of cards that has like all the different types of like animals and its meaning.
So power animals are actually spirit of animals that may be affiliated with us, that are in our energy, that may be here to tell us a message or teach us something or guide us in a direction that we need to go in.
So we're just going to go around checking out animals, enjoying nature, and then looking at its meaning, and we'll share more about it later. Hi, I'm Eileen,
Hi, I'm Emi.
and today we are talking about spirit animals and welcome to the other realm. I realized that there are some prominent signs from the universe, and one of the things is seeing animals. It is not a coincidence unless you purposely go and find a chicken. Correct?
Yes, but with animals, I think in our modern society where we are no longer surrounded by nature, seeing animals, which will include insects and like birds and mammals, are even bigger sign of the universe trying to communicate with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, a lot of people who have had a loved one passed away often see moths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and some of these moths actually look like human's face or skull head, and they can be quite large. A lot of my clients have reported that when they see the moth, they actually get a familiar sense that it is a particular loved one who has passed, you know. And often I get requests to tune in to see if that's true. I would say that, well, it's not 100% like true. So for example, I had one particular client who every single insect she saw, she equated it with somebody in her life who had kind of passed on. But unfortunately, only 80% of the time it was true. The other 20% was kind of more an imagination. Because some people can read too much into signs. There's such a thing as that.
What if I have two cats at home? Every day I see cat.
Yeah, so therefore the cat is no longer a sign, but the cat can bring you a sign. So for example, if the cat brings you a lizard, then the lizard may represent something.
Okay, so in my house, I always get this really huge green beetle that flies in, and my cats would always torture it until it dies.
That's bad karma.
For my cat or me?
If the cat belongs to you, you probably take on the karma as well. You need to see what the green light bug is and what it represents. We went to Botanic Gardens and straight off the bat we see a monitor lizard. So this is a monitor lizard. And the monitor lizard actually represents power because it's actually really powerful. If you look at its body, it has a lot of power and it's also like a predator. When you see them, they're actually a good sign because they can also represent spiritual awareness.
That hen is like looking for worms. So cute. Come on, Roosty.
Because we saw like a rooster and a hen together, it can mean sacred union, relationship, harmony, yin and yang. Yay, butterfly!
Yellow butterfly.
So normally butterfly represents spiritual transformation or a change in mindset, a blossoming of like the energy like as well. Every couple of weeks I see this golden bug.
What does the golden bug mean?
The golden bug actually can represent like abundance. And it also represents sort of like hardiness and persistence. And I noticed that whenever this kind of bugs appear in my house, usually my house there is no like lizards or cockroaches or anything like that. Yeah. Not that lizards and cockroaches are bad.
Maybe it's a sign that if you're seeing a lot of cockroaches that you should just clean your house.
Yeah. If your house is overrun with cockroaches, then you need an exterminator.
Pest control.
However, if you see a cockroach in your dream, the cockroach could be your spirit animal. And where spirit animals are concerned, they usually try and tell you a message. And for cockroaches, the message is about survival, ability to adapt. And usually cockroaches can come at a point in time where you are meeting some particular challenge and you're finding it hard to persevere. And the cockroach is trying to tell you that, hey, you're a survivor.
Let's say there are several family members living in your house, and then I see the green bug, and I'm like, green bug, it's a sign. Everybody looks at the green bug. Who is the green bug for?
The first one who spots it.
Oh. Is it too superstitious to treat all animals and insects that you see as a sign?
Not really, especially if you encounter them very randomly. Okay,
Okay.
and of course, do not treat it as a sign if you went to the zoo. Okay, because you will expect to see animals at the zoo. For example, if you went to the lion enclosure, what do you expect to see there?
Lion.
So I wouldn't really say it's a sign because you went seeking it. It has to be random.
Okay.
However, if you went to the lion enclosure and you saw a monkey, definitely a sign.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely a sign.
If you went to the aquarium and saw a mermaid, definitely
Definitely
a
a sign. So a sign usually is something that is random and
Okay.
unexpected.
It sort of comes at you rather than you go to it.
Yes. So for example, we always tell people that if you spot feathers, it is a sign that the angels are with you. If you see squirrel, it usually means that you need to start looking at what it is that you need to save up for or keep for a rainy day, but to also be careful not to be hoarding things too much. So these are like sort of interpretations if you see some of these animals sort of like around. You see, when you go to botanic gardens, you expect to see trees. You really don't know what animals you will be able to see there,
Okay.
or what insects there are and plants. So now we're entering the garden where all the bonsai is. And bonsai actually has a very interesting spiritual significance because it's said that when you actually work in trimming like a bonsai, you can cultivate your own spirituality. Because it takes a lot of patience and also understanding of the energy of the plant to be able to know where to trim and where to leave it.
Isn't bonsai like a mini tree?
Yes, it is. It's the whole tree is actually contained. So you're basically containing nature in a small like pot. This is a heritage tree.
Oh.
The older a tree is, the more their roots are deep in the ground. And when the roots are really deep, the trees actually give a very, very grounded feeling.
Yeah.
If you were to sit under this tree to meditate, you could really just connect with energies of like nature. And you can even feel like around this tree, there is this like energy of peace and calm and quiet. Very randomly at the car park, we saw a toy horse.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
the spirit animal does not always have to appear in its alive form.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be dead, but it can be. There can be a representation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's a sign.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's a sign. Hey, you know
Yeah.
what? It's a sign.
But you won't actually see a dragon around. But dragons you would see maybe in meditation. In meditation, or perhaps like when you're actually dreaming. Then if you see dragons, they are classified as spirit animals, but on a different level because they are considered more as like elementals.
How do we connect to our spirit animal?
Most of the time, I would suggest in meditation, you set the intention. Sometimes being in the environment where you will most likely encounter a spirit animal sort of helps. So for example, if you suspect that your spirit animal can be found in a forest, then when you meditate, set the intention to meet your spirit animal and see yourself being transported to a forest. Then in that forest, you are likely to encounter like spirit animal. But if you feel your spirit animal is, for example, like a whale, it can be a whale or a dolphin or even koi fishes and all. So if you feel like a spirit animal could be water-based, then therefore you may want to, for example, be on a boat or be in the ocean where there's a higher chance of encountering your spirit animal. Yeah.
So what do spirit animals do for us?
Sometimes when I tune into somebody's energy, I will see that they have several spirit animals.
Okay.
So these spirit animals are there for just a period of time. They're not permanent. It's not like your guardian angel is permanently with you. So these spirit animals, what they do is they're there to assist you with what you're working on that point in time. So for example, a lot of people where we see like a black panther in their energy. The black panther is actually a reminder that you need to reclaim your power. And then for example, if we see like a white wolf, you know, so the color white represents actually purity and spirituality, and a wolf actually represents a connection with solitary part of yourself in which you can actually find your spirituality. And sometimes depending on how the wolf actually appears, it can also mean that you need to embrace like the aggressive part more of like yourself.
When we meditate, we can work with them, right, to help
Yes.
us in whatever area of our life that we
Yeah.
need.
So, well, the meditation that I have described is just a very basic one. However, if you are very interested in working with power animals and spirit animals, the way to go is to work with the shamanic meditation.
Okay.
Where you actually go into the lower world and then you can meet different types of like spirit or power animals and have interactions like with them.
If you have any questions, you can write it in the comment and we'll see what we can like help with. With that, if you are watching this video, you have seen the sign to connect with
Yes.
spirit animals.
Yes, and if you see the cat catches your eye, it says have pleasure and joy in your life and be playful.
And that's it for today about spirit animals.
Bye!
Oh, what's that?
We saw
Something flew past
an
me.
insect flew past you.